are now locked in and listening to The Issue.
This guy is a franchise quarterback, and no, I don't want to hear any pushback on that.
It feels like a top 10 roster to me. It feels like it can win a championship.
This is The Issue.
Yo, what's up? We are back. It is The Issue, Thursday, June 13th, and we have another episode here for you today. It's a good one, and I always get a little fired up when we have episodes that are pretty much centered around the hometown team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Big topic of discussion today. We're actually going to start the show with it, so I'm sure many of you have heard the Steelers go ahead and sign Tomlin to a 3-year extension. We're going to start the show with Tim's rant, of course, discussing that. We will move into hits and misses to finish out the first segment, and then into the second, we'll have our top 10 NFL coaches in the spirit of NFL coaches, and then we're going to finish things out with who has the most pressure to win this year, and that's the Miami Dolphins. So we're going to talk about the Dolphins, that situation down in Miami with Tua, Mike McDaniel, a lot to go over there. And then, of course, we'll finish the show off with last call, this time drafting road trip essentials. It'll be a good one to finish the show. Very interesting one, episode 230. No matter how you are listening to the show, no matter how you're consuming the content, we appreciate it. We are everywhere. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts if you want to listen to the show. And then, of course, if you want to watch YouTube, you can watch on Spotify as well, Amazon Prime Video, and then iHeartRadio and the iHeartRadio app. So a plethora of ways to find us. We appreciate it, no matter how you found us today.
That's a lot, cuz. You good? You get everything out?
Oh, good. I need to take a couple breaths here and probably a sip of water. But, yeah, you take it away.
That's fair. I'll take it away. You go ahead and get your water. I'm going to go ahead and actually start. Let's go over some of the albums that came out in 2016. Just music. We'll go across all genres here. Let's go. How about Life of Pablo from Kanye West, right? Many of you may know. Let's go Views by Drake. That's a classic in the rap hip-hop game. For those, if there's any ladies out there, Dangerous Woman by Ariana Grande, right? That's of course a popular one. We could go on and on. For Your Eyes Only by J. Cole. Stoney by Post Malone, right? With, what did it have? Congratulations on there. That's a classic album. I think Alicia Keys came out with one. Hell, I think David Bowie came out with one. Hasn't he been dead for a while? The point being, 2016, why is that significant? That's the last time Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers have won a playoff game. Which is also marking the last time that they were competitive in a playoff game, because it seems like since then, they have been destroyed in every playoff game thereafter. I mean, you can try to convince yourself that Mason Rudolph and that ragtag team last year was competitive. Oh, they brought it within a touchdown there, Tim. Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, they were really competitive when they were down, 31, 17? And they weren't competitive. It wasn't any competitive football game. Haven't won a playoff game since 2016. Yet the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to go ahead and extend them this year and 2 more years on top of it. So we have 3 more years of Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh. Since that 2016 playoff win, take a guess how many different NFL coaches have won a playoff game since Mike Tomlin last has back in 2016. Take a second. I'll give you 5 seconds. If you said, I think 15 sounds reasonable, go higher. Another couple seconds. 20. That sounds higher. 27 different NFL coaches have won a playoff game since Mike Tomlin last has. But Tim, he's never had a losing season. He's done more with less. Big Ben was aging, and look at Kenny Pickett. Obviously, we see he's not very good now, so you can't burn him for that. No, I absolutely I can. 27 coaches, and I'm supposed to believe that he's a top 10, top 5 head coach, and whoa, we won a Super Bowl. Yeah, okay, sure. I don't really subscribe to the whole Will Lewis Cowers team, because at the end of the day, in theory, the GM does the team construction and the coach does the coaching. But that was a team that was constructed under previous, front office, that was coached under a previous regime, that had a lot of the same sentiment in it. And Tomlin was a, what they would call a plug-and-play guy at the head coaching position there. A young guy was able to relate to the players. As he's aged, it has not been very graceful. A bunch of 10-7s, 8-8s, 9-8. Of course, never losing season. Of course, never losing. he screwed himself here by saying the standard is the standard, and I'm going to fire that right back at him. If this is the standard you have set, then it's not good enough to the standard that you had, when I say you had set when you were hired, winning a Super Bowl, competing in playoff games. This recent standard that you have set does not live up to that. Doesn't live up to it. And so if the standard is the standard, the Steelers front office and the ownership should say, you're right, our standard is higher than getting bounced in the first round by any team that has any level of quarterback play. I mean, what are the last quarterbacks that they've beaten in the playoffs? Go ahead and think back to it. We have an A.J. McCarron. We have a Matt Moore. I mean, what do we do? We have an Alex Smith. What are we doing? This is ridiculous to give this guy an extension. And this bothers me on all fronts of the league. And I only understand it for a very select few people. Why do we give extensions before we have to? God, it bothers me so much. And for once, finally, Dallas is actually making a good decision by saying, Dak, you know what? We're going to let you play out your contract. Right? This is a prove-it year. Why wasn't this coming season going to be a prove-it year for Mike Tomlin? Instead, he's going to get 2 more years granted on top of that? For what? For what? What did he show us in the last decade that says, you know what? That's the guy I want at the helm. And here's the main problem that I have, and you've seen it this offseason, is that the front office is clearly making a pivot. Andy Weidel and Omar Khan are making a pivot with this team. Building through the trenches. They're going to run the football. Arthur Smith is a very downhill, run the football style offensive coordinator that, from the passing standpoint, thrives off play action fakes and open holes over the middle that are opened up from running the football. And there's 2 schools of thought when you hear, oh, we're going to build through the trenches and run the ball. And one of them is the more old school where we're just going to run the football, not make a ton of mistakes, and just hope that we're competitive in the fourth quarter. And as a defensive coach, I don't want mistakes. We're competing in the fourth quarter. My defense will go get a stop, and we'll go kick a last-second field goal. We'll narrowly get out. I think Tomlin would rather win all 17 games like that. I truly believe that. And then there's the new school thought, which I think is more Shanahan, McVay, McDaniel, where it's, no, we are definitely built on the run game through the trenches, but it is to set up explosive plays on play action, on reverses, on sweeps, with our quarterback on bootlegs, to get outside the pocket, to be able to throw down the field, to open up holes over the middle. That sets up your play action. The problem is, Andy Weidel, Omar Khan, and now I think the new offensive coordinator Arthur Smith have this new school vision of, we're going to run the ball a lot, but then Pat Freiermuth up the seam, George Pickens over the middle. We have slot guys that can go make a play on play action, type plays. We have a quarterback now that can bootleg, especially because he's not that tall. You don't want him in the pocket 50 times a game. Can we get him out on the perimeter a couple times? You have the personnel to do that. You don't have the right coach to do it. You don't have the right coach. You have the guy who wants to line up with a fullback, 2 tight ends, and just let his defense try to win every game 17-14. And it's just not going to work. It's not going to work. I am officially out on this team in terms of this season. I don't think they're a playoff team. I don't think they're a winning football team. I think it's a 7-win team as of right now, unless they make any sweeping changes. I thought it's an inexcusable decision to sign him to an extension. No, look, if he goes out there and wins the Super Bowl, sure, they look like geniuses. We all know it's not going to happen. But what's wrong with letting that prove-it year actually be a prove-it year? If he succeeds this year, then you sign him. Instead, you sign him early. It's a bad move. They're not going to be good. It's mediocre. Haven't won a playoff game since 2016. 27 different coaches have won a playoff game since Tomlin has. It's ridiculous.
I think there's also a big underlying problem outside of just what you see on the field, more than the product that you see on the field, more than the X's and O's, more than the coaching standpoint, is just the fact that the locker room has been in shambles since 2016 as well. You deal with the Le'Veon Bell drama. You deal with the Antonio Brown drama. You deal with the Big Ben drama, not getting along with anybody and all the new quarterbacks, and you deal with all of that. And now you're dealing with George Pickens, another diva-type receiver. I think there's something to be said, too, that Tomlin has completely lost control of this locker room. And the thing that's annoying about having this problem in Pittsburgh is we're going to put this video out, and we are going to get so much backlash. But it's because of recency bias. If this video would have come out after the Steelers disappointed last year, and after the Steelers disappointed the year before, and after the Steelers disappointed the year before, if it would have came out on the heels of that and on the eve of that, everybody would be calling for Tomlin's job. But it's been a few months.
They had a good offseason, although none of it is due to him.
Now the Steelers' Instagram is just promoting Tomlin everywhere, and all you're seeing is, well, Tomlin's one of the best coaches, and you hear all these different free agents that come to Pittsburgh, and they say, oh, the only reason I came to Pittsburgh, one of the main reasons is because of the coaching and Mike Tomlin, the culture he's built. Well, I feel like that's disintegrated. That has disintegrated, and I think the Steelers are in more trouble than they know. And I think Steelers fans are going to have the harsh reality of waking up to that when it's the middle of the season and you realize you are, I don't know,
Average
3-6 through the first half of the season, staring down that brutal back half. It's going to be a hell of a journey, and they are going to get their tires beat off of them, is my prediction.
And we'll do it. We'll do it in the second segment. Spoiler alert: I do not view him as a top 10 head coach. I don't. And I'll kind of etch out where I view him because it's outside the top 10, and we will go into our top 10 NFL coaches after the break. Next, let's go ahead and get into hits and misses.
All right, here we go.
All right, hit number one here. The Yankees are finally doing what I've said for the longest time. They've always said, hey, home runs will cancel out strikeouts. Well, in reality, walks will cancel out strikeouts. And what do you know? They're first in the AL in walks. They're first in the AL in on-base percentage. They're first in the AL in OPS, which is on-base plus slugging. Mm-hmm. And they're only seventh, or they're like seventh, so they're middle of the pack in strikeouts. So they're not striking out, obviously you'd like that to be a little bit better, but you can live with that because they're getting walked a ton, because their OPS is really high. I've said it for the longest time. You have to get on base more. If Aaron Judge is going to give you 40 to 45 home runs every year, can we not have 32 of those be solo shots? How can we increase the value of those swings? Because Aaron Judge has gotten so good. Same thing with like an Ohtani, a Trout when he's healthy, Bryce Harper. We know he's going to give us a certain amount of really good swings and really good games every year. How can we make those more valuable?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How can we turn those into more wins? How can we not make that solo shot be, to cut the lead to 6 in the bottom of the 8th inning? You know what I mean? Like, how can we make our best player more valuable? And it's getting on base, slugging the baseball.
Yeah.
It also helps when you add Juan Soto, when, Giancarlo Stanton is returning somewhat to form. So, that helps.
One of the big things, though, is that a strikeout, what you're not doing with a strikeout is you're not getting on base. It's not that you're not scoring a run. Obviously, the home run, that scores a run. Canceling out strikeouts is getting walks, getting people on base. That's the method to victory. They're finally figuring it out.
Yeah, it's good to see because it's not that I'm a Yankee fan, but the sport is better when the big brands are better.
Yeah.
Like that Yankee-Dodgers series. Now, I know the Dodgers won 2 of 3, so maybe not the best time to have a Yankees, take here. But it's good when the big brands are doing really well. That series was electric.
Yeah, it was really good.
Miss number 1 here. This is a weekly occurrence, and I am blown away dead wrong because I keep saying, well, eventually, I guess not the WNBA in this case, but eventually women's basketball will just figure it out. Like they're growing. They finally have their star. Eventually they're going to figure it out, and they're going to blossom into, they're not going to be a major, top 3 to 5 sport, but can they be, a very, very popular niche sport? I do think so.
Absolutely.
But I'm blown away by the ineptitude of women's basketball as a whole. Usually it's been the WNBA. But U.S. Olympic basketball left Caitlin Clark off of the Olympic roster. And if you want to argue that she's not a top 15, player that's eligible to make the roster, I personally would disagree. But at least I could hear that argument. But that's not what the argument's about. Here's my point, is that you now just cut the women's Olympic basketball viewership
in half.
If
not more.
And so it's now, to be quite honest with you, it's not fair to the rest of those girls on the team, because they're not going to get any exposure. Mm-hmm. For all those women that are on the team, like, well, we're all better than her. Okay, well, unfortunately, one of you are going to have to be a sacrificial lamb, but the other 14 of you are going to make a ton more money if Caitlin Clark is on your team.
Yeah.
That's more viewership, that's more sponsorship, that's more advertisement opportunities. And this is a good opportunity for her to kind of see what Olympic basketball is about. She's a young player. Get her that exposure. Get those eyeballs on her and on the women's game to help grow the game.
Yeah, it's just about what people care about. And nobody cares, not to be rude, but nobody cares about the rest of those players. I couldn't name a singular player.
But I do if they're catching the Caitlin Clark behind the back pass and hitting a 3 to win the gold medal game.
Not bad.
Like, I'll watch that.
Not bad.
To be honest with you. Like, I don't watch soccer, but World Cup soccer, both men's and women's, I will watch. Because it's interesting. Like, if they're in the gold cup game, or gold medal game, I would watch. No, I'm not saying I'd pick that over, like, you know, a bigger sporting event, but it's a Tuesday at, you know, Olympic Games are at weird times, depending on where they're at. It's in Paris, so that's what, like 8 hours ahead, 6 hours ahead? Nah, I'd watch. Hit number 2 here, Christian McCaffrey with that really solid contract extension. It's like 2 years, like $48 million or something like that. I don't know. I'll pull up the exact numbers while I talk here. But either way, we knew, and we've said that for a long time, he's the most valuable asset on that football team. To me, it's not particularly close. I know Debo's good. I know Ayuk is good. Christian McCaffrey is the one that makes that all go. Obviously with Kyle Shanahan, but from a personnel standpoint, he's the one that makes it all go. So, and my question to you would be, what do you think this means for the Brandon Ayuk deal?
I mean, I think...
Or the lack of a deal, maybe.
That's what I'm leaning more towards. I think when you pay somebody like Christian McCaffrey, you know, is Ayuk special? Is he great at what he does? Does he provide value for the team? Absolutely, but it's not to the level of Christian McCaffrey. I think you signed the right guy to the right contract. Now, if the numbers work out with Ayuk and he's, you know, willing to take a little bit of a cut, a little bit of a deal just to stay with the 49ers to win some big games and hopefully get to the Super Bowl, then fine, so be it. But I think the team would be pretty much the exact same without him as well. I think they have enough pieces there.
Yeah. The deal, by the way, it's about $19 million over those 2 added years.
Do you agree?
Averaging about $19 million.
Do you agree? Like, do you think do you think he needs to be there?
I don't think Ayuk needs to be there, but I would argue if it was between Debo and Ayuk, I would pay Ayuk over Debo. Because I think what you get in McCaffrey is a lot of what you get in Debo. Now, Debo catches more.
Yeah.
And McCaffrey runs more, but they're both kind of that, I don't want to say gadget, that kind of demeans them a little bit. Mm-hmm. But they're both that like Swiss Army knife type guy. So I think I would rather pay a little bit better of an outside threat to diversify my offense and keep Ayuk if I had to pick one or the other.
I like that.
Miss number 2 here. The Jags not signing Trevor Lawrence yet. Now, I understand it's been rockier than people thought because he was the first overall pick, was one of the most highly touted prospects. I understand that. It hasn't been, you know, a springtime meadow. I get that. But let's not act like he's not the only relevant thing about the franchise. Like, what are you going to do? Not pay him?
No, you need him.
You're going to pay him. And my question is, like, just do it early. Like, the price is only going to go up the longer you wait. We saw this with Dak.
I was going to say, the longer you hold out, the bigger that check gets.
So you're going to not pay him? They're 3 bad years in a row. So you say you not pay him 3 bad years in a row from literally relocating.
Yeah.
Like, actually.
Moving the damn team. Like,
for real. The NFL has toyed around with this overseas stuff. It would not shock me if they did not sign Trevor Lawrence, which they will. This is a complete out of left field hypothetical. And they sucked for the next 5 years. The NFL said, screw it, London, congratulations. You're getting a team. Like, the logistics for travel would be a nightmare, but the NFL will do anything they want for money. So,
yep.
Hit number 3 here. I said for the longest time, and especially when they came out with the top 100 players before last season, and Justin Fields was like 81. And I said, that's a joke. That's a joke. And now that he's a Pittsburgh Steeler, and I'm actually excited to see what he can do with a little bit better of an infrastructure in terms of an organizational standpoint.
And better offensive line, all that good stuff.
Yeah, offensive line, yes, probably slightly better. Although it started to get better towards the end of his tenure, but that's besides the point. I said, even if I like him now and I like his trajectory, he's not a top 100 player. He's probably not a top 200 player. Justin Fields is mediocre at best. At best. Just because he can run around and make some spectacular looking plays does not mean he is a consistently top 100 player. And now, of course, stories come out that he's not going to return kicks. But the fact that was even a story. Yeah. I mean, come on. Not even Derek Carr has that story about him.
No, that's not a story about any other starting quarterback in the NFL. And I think that tells you everything you need to know.
Correct. I know he's athletic, but let's be real.
Yeah.
Miss number 3 here, and thank God that we're not going to pull up the audio. But I actually, at one point in time before last season, after seeing Kenny Pickett have a perfect 158.3 passer rating in the preseason, say that the Steelers actually feel like, and I'll quote, the San Francisco 49ers East. That was a bad take.
That's a really tough one.
It's a bad take. Yeah, well, I just figured Kenny Pickett wouldn't be, I don't know, the worst starting quarterback in football last year.
Oh, I mean, he was wildly inefficient. Yeah, it was bad.
Kenny Pickett or Zach Wilson? Let's do this. We have like a minute.
Kenny. Zach Wilson's horrible.
I would take Zach Wilson.
Kenny has at least shown flashes every now and then.
Kenny
Zach
Pickett
Wilson.
or Gardner Minshew?
Gardner Minshew.
Kenny Pickett or Jacoby Brissett?
That's a wash.
I would go Jacoby Brissett.
That's a wash, though.
Kenny Pickett or Sam Howell?
Sam Howell. He's a competitor.
Yes, I agree. Kenny Pickett or Taylor Heineke?
Heineke. I'll take
Kenny
Heineke.
Pickett or Desmond Ritter? That's a little closer.
Kenny. I'll go Kenny.
I'd probably go Kenny
I'll go
slightly.
Kenny. Yeah.
Kenny Pickett or Drew Lock?
Kenny.
Really?
Kenny beat Drew Lock. Yeah. I mean, like.
No, I would go Drew Lock.
Uh,
Really? You'd go Kenny?
yeah.
I'd go Drew.
I just don't think.
I at least see
Drew's-
flashes of spectacular with Drew.
Well, it's
Flashes.
spectacular.
Well, okay, flashes of good.
Being
Really good.
okay. Being an okay quarterback.
There's some throws where you're like, okay, that's a high-level throw.
Yeah.
I almost see none of those with Kenny.
I think he maybe had one.
Okay, Kenny Pickett or Jameis Winston?
Jameis. Jameis has been consistently
Kenny Pickett
good.
or Carson Wentz?
Carson.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that's it.
There we go. That's hits and misses.
Hits and misses, guys. Don't go anywhere. I did a little tease before this, and I'll throw it out there again. Top 10 NFL coaches in the league, and we'll set the criteria now. It is right now. I don't care what you did for me yesterday. I don't care what you did for me last year. Going into this season, who do I want on the sidelines as the head skipper in the NFL? Welcome back in. It is the issue second segment. What is it, like the 14th or something?
It is
that?
the 13th
Okay, I was close enough. Yeah, they all run together nowadays. They all run together.
nowadays.
Anyway, hey, good to have you in. I know it's, I could go down the list. It's Spotify, it's iHeart, it's Amazon, YouTube. However you are getting here, we certainly appreciate that you are here. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, the follow button. If you're going away on a plane, download an episode or two. That way you can listen without having to worry about streaming and all that stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
So anyway, we greatly appreciate you being here. Make sure you follow all the socials. It's all linked in the videos and the link trees and everything that any site or page that you find us, you can find all the other socials as well.
Love it. You going to be downloading an episode or two when you're jumping
I'm
the
flying?
pond?
I probably will. Yeah, I probably will.
Yeah?
I'll download an episode or two.
Listen to yourself back?
No, none of us. Yeah, no.
Oh, no, none of us.
Yeah, no.
You're not going to perfect the craft, watch the
No, that's
film,
weird.
and I guess listen to a little
Absolutely
film?
not. You know me. I hate hearing my own voice, which is weird considering, this is...
Thank God you're not in the editing department.
Yeah, that's you. Thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't. I would lose my mind. I'll probably download maybe a couple Joe Rogans.
Maybe a Colin Coward.
Maybe, yeah, maybe a Nick Wright. Who knows? Yeah, who knows? Doug Gottlieb's one of my guys too.
A lot of good shows out there.
A lot of good shows.
But I guess now's a good time to bring it up. You're not going to be here next week. We will not have an episode. You're going on vacation, going to be in Italy, so have a fantastic time there. But for now, we have sports to talk. We're going to go, is kind of sticking with the theme of the day. We came in fired up about the Mike Tomlin thing and his extension and all that. It got us talking about coaches, the importance of having a really good head coach at this level. NFL head coaches make or break seasons. So we've set some parameters here. This is going into this year. So, what you've done doesn't matter. What you were in the past doesn't matter. For example, Bill Belichick is not going to be on this list. He has won a significant amount of Super Bowls.
So.
Yeah.
But I would say the only thing in quote unquote the past that matters would be last year. I think last year's the only applicable thing. It's were you trending up at the end of last year? Were you trending down? So
basically, this is just it's not like an all-time ranking.
This is not an all-time ranking.
It's who do you want right now? Top 10 coaches in the NFL. Let's go.
Well, we always start at 10 and go to 1. So let's start with 10. I would go the Browns head coach, Kevin Stefanski. Now, I know he won Coach of the Year, but the reason he's coming in a little bit lower than some people would have him is that I almost don't trust what's around him. It's a little bit less about him and more about what he has to work with. I don't think Deshaun Watson's a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL anymore. I don't think he's a top 28 quarterback. I think he could be a high-end backup. And that may be a hot take. I just don't think Deshaun is even close to being a starting quarterback in this league. And so to me, that's a problem. This is a coach-quarterback league. They have the coach. They don't have the quarterback, and that does put limitations on what your coach is able to do. But at the end of the day, he does deserve to be on this list. He is a clever offensive coach. They have a defined identity. They're going to run the football, play action fakes. So Kevin Stefanski definitely deserves to be on here. I just can't put him higher because I don't know who the hell is throwing the ball for him.
Yeah, I think, and separating it a little bit, I mean, this is coaching. Yes, the coach-quarterback dynamic means a lot. But what he was able to do with Cleveland, where he was able to take them from where he was hired and now to see what they've become, I think says a lot. And like you said, he doesn't have the best supporting cast. Like, he does not have the best players. He does not have the most talent. But he's found a way to at least turn that organization around, give them an identity, give them a direction.
It's certainly a good roster. Number 9, Dan Campbell. I mean, talk about trending up.
Yeah.
The Lions are on the up and up. Look, I don't think that he is the most clever coach. I don't think he is the most, X's and O's skilled coach. But I also don't think that's all there is to coaching. I think he's a fantastic motivator. I think he's a fantastic leader of men. And I think he knows. I think he knows what he's good at and knows what he's not good at. And I think he's hired a great staff accordingly. And I think you deserve a lot of credit for that, because the reason that Nick Sirianni is not on this list is because he hasn't hired a good staff since Jonathan Gannon and Shane Steichen left him. Mm-hmm. Right? And so now they're turning over more coordinators. And that's just not a problem with Dan Campbell. With Ben Johnson staying, it's a really good staff. So Dan Campbell, the Lions are on the up and up. He deserves to be on this list. Just not hired because I just don't think when push comes to shove, can he out-scheme another coach, him himself? I don't think so. But he's a damn good coach. I worry if the voice will go a little stale, kind of like a lot of motivators tend to, like a Tomlin, for example.
Yeah.
And they plateau into a little bit of kind of average. But I don't think that's coming for another at least couple years. I think they're on the up and up.
Yeah, I think this team is going to be one of the most competitive out of the NFC. Like, this is good. This is going to be a team that competes for it all. You saw it last year. It's not going to change this year.
Yeah, I agree. Number 8 here, John Harbaugh of the Ravens, not the Chargers. That's Jim, for those who get confused. It's a common thing. John Harbaugh at 8. Good coach. You want to talk about, just like I did with Dan Campbell, a coach who knows what he's good at, coach that knows what he's not good at, and hires weaknesses accordingly. John is fantastic. That has assembled a great staff, and I think that the front office deserves a lot of credit too. And John's been a fantastic coach. I do worry a little bit if he can get them over the hump to that next level. Obviously, they win a Super Bowl with Flacco, and it's been since they've really made a run at another one. So I do worry if he can get him back there, but absolutely a fantastic coach. Deserves to be on this list. He comes in at 8.
Yeah, never excited to see his name on the schedule. I don't care who you are. He's going to drop a great scheme, what he's been able to do with Lamar. And people forget, he was able to completely flip that organization from what it was to a completely new way of playing football. Like, completely new identity, rewrite everything for Lamar, and build a team around him. I think it's been super impressive.
No, that
speaks a lot to him.
That's a good point. You're absolutely right, because you can't get a transcendent and very unique quarterback like Lamar and kind of half-ass it. If you get someone like that, your entire scheme, the way you draft, the way you acquire free agents, has to be centered around Lamar, right, and his strengths, and they've done that, and that's a lot of credit to John.
Done a hell of a job.
Yeah, number 7, Shane Steichen, and I know, again, this is not a historical ranking because obviously John would be above Shane Steichen. But Shane Steichen is such a clever offensive coach.
Yep.
I mean, he almost took Gardner Minshew to the playoffs last year. And I'm a Gardner guy, but let's not act like with that roster he should have gotten them close to the playoffs. No. And I think the reasoning in this, because this is almost predictive in the sense, but I think you're going to see a really big leap from Anthony Richardson. Granted, I went out, I think it was last week, I said I think he's going to be a bust. Did I say that about him, or who I said that about?
I'm not sure.
We'll have to go back in the archives. But I think I did go out and say I just don't think he's going to be, a generational guy. I think his injuries are going to get in the way. But I think this year, while he's still fresh and still healthy, you're going to see a dynamic quarterback, and I think a lot of that's due to Shane Steichen. And they don't have a ton of offensive pieces. Their receivers are on the weaker side of the NFL, but he's going to make the most of it, and I will predict they'll have a top 10 offense when they really have probably 17th, 18th, 19th best talent.
I mean, he's a great quarterback creator. He'll make something out of nothing. And I'm not saying Anthony Richardson is nothing. He has the frame. He has, I guess, all the intangibles that you need to be a very good quarterback in this day and age.
We just need the availability.
But I think he has the coach to do it now, too.
I couldn't agree more. Let's go to number 6, Sean Payton. I think that at the end of the day, and maybe this is a little bit of bias from the past, but you saw it last year with getting the most out of Russell Wilson. And he is a really clever offensive coach. He's fantastic. And he has the experience. I know we're not weighing the whole career, but going into the season, I know I have a coach with a little bit more experience. He's been there. He's done that. And I think, I'm not saying Bo Nix is going to be great, But Bo Nix is exactly the quarterback he wants. Accurate, on time, in rhythm. Not going to make any outside of the realm of spectacular plays. Not a ton of turnovers. He's going to make the smart play. So I think that marriage between Sean Payton and Bo Nix is going to be huge, landing Sean Payton at 6th.
Yeah, very smart guy, very smart coaches, X's and O's wise. Going to out-scheme you. Very strong.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 5, Matt LaFleur. I think it's evidence of what he did with Jordan Love last year. The first couple weeks, you were like, oh my God, I don't think Jordan Love's a starting quarterback in the NFL. And the next couple weeks, you're like, okay, something, but needs a ton of refinement. And in the last 8 weeks, including the playoffs, he looked like an all-pro, one of the top 5 quarterbacks in football. And I think a ton of that is due to Matt LaFleur. And he's really transformed this team, the post-Mike McCarthy, post-Aaron Rodgers era, into a team that's going to run the football, really good on play action. They're going to be clever. They're going to be prepared. And they have a ton of young talent on the outside, and he has done a great job of incorporating it and doing a really, really good job of getting in the end zone. It sounds crazy, but down in the red zone is where you really, really see the offensive expertise. We'll get to another guy on this list in Super Bowls. How is Sky Moore that wide open? How is Kadarius Toney that wide open?
Great scheming.
And I think Matt LaFleur has a lot of it as well.
Yeah, we saw it live in person. We were there at the Packers game when they were in Pittsburgh. And I think you even said it at one point. We are about to witness a Matt LaFleur masterclass of coaching. And we did. He led them back. The Steelers were up, I think, 2-3 touchdowns. They made it close. They made it a field goal game. Steelers barely won.
I think we were both very unimpressed with Jordan Love at that point and very impressed with Matt LaFleur. Yep. Number 4, Mike McDaniel. I think he is a genius offensively. I think he is on a trajectory to surpass Kyle Shanahan, and because he's a Kyle Shanahan disciple, but is just a mad scientist, man. I get a little bit more leadership vibes out of him than some of the other offensive coaches that can give you a little bit more like evil genius vibes that are just sitting in their office crafting plays. I get a little bit more of a leadership vibe. For example, the whole, hey, we're going to set every clock or every meeting to 8:24 or 7:24 or 4:24, whatever.
24-year playoff drought.
Exactly, right? I just get a little bit more swagger and I hate pizzazzed is not the right word.
It's the charisma.
Charisma
it's the charisma
is a great word.
of Mike McDaniel.
Yes.
The way he's able to bond and mesh with players,
yes,
I think is super important. And I think he's almost trailblazing a new path. You always used to see the coaches, the Belichick, super rigid, make sure that you know that they're at the top of the totem pole. Correct. And you don't do anything out of line because you're going to get your ass bit for it.
Right.
But then you see the Mike McDaniel style where, look, we're going to play loose, we're going to play relaxed, we're going to have fun, but we're also going to come in, we're going to kick your teeth in.
Correct. Yeah. No, I like it. I think he's a fantastic X's and O's coach. You don't think of it, but that is a run-first offense that benefits off of play action, and it works for his team and his personnel. Number 3, I would go Kyle Shanahan. He's just a more refined, more experienced version of Mike McDaniel, offensive genius, runs the football.
Blessed with some more talent,
I was just about to say blessed with a ton of talent, which makes him look even better. Number 2 would be Sean McVay. I know that he does more with a little bit less, or does at least equal with a little bit less than Kyle Shanahan. I think right now, and you even talking about kind of like Mike McDaniel, you get that charisma, that leadership.
Yep.
Sean McVay is arguably, I think he's the second best coach in football.
Well, he's very, very smart too. And if this list is, if we could choose anybody for our team, who would we pick to lead it? I wouldn't want anybody except for Sean McVay, personally. I think he's the smartest. I think he can take you the highest. I think his ceiling is incredibly high. And you can't just throw the experience to the wayside here either. Like, that is something that's very, very important.
Yeah.
And he's been super successful while he's there.
Yeah, for sure. Number 1, I would go with Andy Reid. I think the track record is there. Obviously, again, we're not looking at, a ton of past, but last year having won the Super Bowl, and what he's able to do, and with a quarterback like Mahomes, who people think, oh, Mahomes is so great, that'd be really easy to do. Yes, but you understand Mahomes needed to be sandpapered, needed to be refined. He came in as a very unrefined prospect, and Andy Reid did a ton of that work, and now you still see him reaping the benefits of that with Mahomes. So I would go Reid number 1. Let's run back through that. Andy Reid, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel, Matt LaFleur, Sean Payton, Shane Steichen, John Harbaugh, Dan Campbell, and Kevin Stefanski round out the top 10.
Hell of a list of coaches right there. They're all going to be in it.
I would agree. So let's go back to that number 4 coach on the list, and that would be Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel. Fantastic coach, at least on our end. And I think a lot of people would at least have him in the top 10. Maybe we have him a little bit higher than others. That's fine. I'm willing to bite that bullet. But he is a clever offensive coach. He knows how to make the best of his personnel. And the number one spot where that personnel has to be good is quarterbacks. That brings us to the question of Tua. Obviously hasn't gotten signed yet in that same quarterback class as Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow. And they have both gotten paid, Burrow being the highest paid quarterback in football, Herbert not too far behind him. Tua still searching for that deal, right? Was Hurts in that draft class as well?
Jalen was, yes.
Was he? I think so. Either way. But, so yeah, Tua's still looking for that deal. A lot of people to pay him or to not pay him, and we did Tua or like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. There's a ton of pressure on this team. I think Mike McDaniel will feel some of that pressure, but I don't think it's really on him because I think regardless of what happens with Tua or with the team as a whole this season, I think he's going to return as the head coach. And I think he's got another probably at least 3-year runway with this team, barring them just going 1-16, right? Barring him having 3 straight catastrophic seasons. I think he's got a long runway with this football team. So I don't view him under a ton of pressure. I think the pressure falls more on Tua. And we'll give you a little. If I had to divvy it up by percentage, right, like a little pie, like a pressure pie, a little pie chart. I would go Tua 70%. I would go Mike McDaniel 20%, and I would go your other star players like Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill make up the other 10%. You can divvy it out how you want. So to me, Mike McDaniel is going to be fine. Yes, he's the head coach, so ultimately will fall on him. But Tua is the guy we should be looking for. Can he actually perform? And the question isn't in the regular season. Are they going to perform when it matters most? Because like you said, he's a little bit more loose, a little bit more of a fun head coach. That's fine. Are we going to see it manifest again in a sloppy, unprepared performance in the playoffs? Because Mike McDaniel has been fantastic, except for in the playoffs, and he has been given the grace because he's been such a young coach. That's like, okay, well, young coach, young team, young quarterback, they go on the road to Kansas City. We understand. It's fine. We don't expect them to win that game. He's running out of grace seasons. Is this going to be the year where they could break through?
I think, look, it's going to be tough because you're going to have to battle through that AFC East. And we know that, like, yes, the Patriots aren't that great, but the Jets are getting better. And the Bills and Josh Allen are always going to be tough. So, one, let's worry about winning your division. Let's worry about getting out of there.
Because you almost had it last year and then you blew it.
And you have to beat Josh Allen. Like, you have to figure out a way to beat Josh Allen and the Bills. Do I see this as the year that they explode? No. If by explode you mean win a playoff game, then sure, maybe. But I don't see that as exploding. I think exploding is more so, can you go on a run in the playoffs? Can you get close? Can you make it to a Super Bowl? I don't think this is their year for that. I think they're going to get better, and I think they win a playoff game this year because
really,
I do. I think the weapons are really good, and if Tua can stay healthy, you know how dangerous that team is.
Really,
you don't think they win a playoff game?
No, I don't. I think they missed the playoffs.
Missed the playoffs?
I think they missed the playoffs. I'm jotting this down.
I mean, let's not forget that Buffalo has gotten a little weak.
I think first of all, I think that's underrated. I think Buffalo's going to be fantastic. I think they're going to be a 12-win team.
I don't know about fantastic. I think they're going to be good enough. But Josh Allen makes a lot of mistakes. He can't carry the team on his own. We've said that.
That's fine. Doesn't have to. They're going to run the football a ton this year. But no, so I am on the polar other end of that. I think they'll win 8 or 9 games and just miss the playoffs. They'll miss that last wild card spot. But back to your first point, winning the division, you're right. If they want to have any shot to make a run in the playoffs, they have to host at least the wild card round. They have to. Where are they going to go? So say they sneak in as the 6th or the 7th seed, right? What's hypothetical? Because that's what they've been the last couple of years.
Okay.
So who's going to be your top seeds? Let's say Kansas City.
Buffalo.
We'll say Buffalo wins it. We'll say Cincinnati wins. Well, Baltimore or Cincinnati. Well, they've kind of been alternating. Let's say Joe Burrow stays healthy. It's a Cincinnati year. Baltimore will get the 5 seed. That means you're going to go either to Kansas City. You just did that in the cold. Good luck. To Buffalo, even colder. Or to Cincinnati, which isn't warm. So they have to host the first round. Have to. They have to find a way to be a 3rd or 4th seed.
And if they win the division, they'll be fine.
They'll have a chance to win it, the playoff game. But they stand no chance if they have to go on the road. 0 chance. None.
Not even one game.
On the road?
Yes.
No. Who are they going to go on the road and beat?
I don't know. Crazier things have happened. The Dolphins are a good team.
Sure, they're good. Ooh, nice. That's great. My Nissan Altima is good. That Dodge Caravan that I drive is good. Right? Like, it's good. Okay.
I don't know. I just think this team has too much talent. They're coached by way too good of a coach.
Scrambled eggs are good.
To just keep disappointing.
That's what I would agree. And so my point is, this is all on Tua, because if you have a top 5 coach, we would both agree top 5 weapons. This is on Tua.
I agree. I think it's on Tua, but I think he's going to.
I don't think he's going to get it done.
I think he's good enough to at least win a playoff game.
I disagree with that. I don't
think he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
I don't think he's a playoff winning quarterback.
He's going to win one playoff.
He has to host it.
He's okay, but I think he's going to win one playoff game.
If he hosts it, he has a chance, and maybe a good one at that.
So how many years do you give it? So let's do this. The pressure's on in Miami for Tua. How many years does he get?
Tua?
Yes.
Well, first of all, I think he is this year
and next. And
next year with the 5th-year option.
So how many cracks at this do you give Tua? Do you move off next year if you haven't won yet?
Absolutely not. It depends on what your definition of win. If you don't win a playoff game this year, you absolutely do not sign Tua. You move off.
So you're arguing that you're going to move off and not sign Tua because you don't think they're going to win.
Correct. You think they do sign Tua?
I think they sign Tua after they win a playoff game.
That's bizarre.
I don't think it's going to be a good decision, but I see.
Okay, I was going to say, do you stand by that?
No, I don't.
Okay. Because I think at best, what is he, the 7th or 8th best quarterback in the AFC? I would take Burrow. I would take Lamar.
I would take C.J. Stroud.
I'd take Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
There's an argument for Anthony Richardson, although I wouldn't. I could see how many people
I'd take Josh Allen.
I'd take Josh Allen.
I'd take Aaron Rodgers.
I'd go Tua because he's younger, more reliable. I would go Mahomes, Herbert. So that's 8 right there. That puts him at 9.
Minimum.
9?
And that's if Russell Wilson sucks or Justin Fields sucks.
Which they probably will. Well, at least worse than Tua.
And that's also if Tua can stay healthy.
Well, here's the thing. Tua's he's fine. The team is fine. They're going to go win. He's going to put up stats. One game, fate of the universe on the line. You want Tagovailoa.
No, but I think he's going to win one of those games.
All right, I disagree. Let's go ahead and get to our last call. For those who weren't listening at the beginning, it is our road trip essentials draft. For those who don't know what the last call is, at the end of the show, we do a little, 3 to 4, sometimes 5, sometimes 6. We just kind of go a little bit off into the weeds a bit, right? It's unsports related, sometimes sports related, but usually it's not sports related. But we do it in a sports context in the form of a draft.
Yeah.
So, because I won predictions last year, I have the first overall pick. This week is road trip essentials, with the caveat that it is stuff that you not are going to pack, but that will pick up along the way at, say, a gas station or a rest stop.
So the parameters are: you're on a road trip, you didn't bring it with you. You're stopping, you got 10 minutes. Go to the bathroom, come out. What are you grabbing? We should have set like a price limit on this too. Like 5 things. What are you spending under $20 on? But
no, it's fine. I mean, what at a gas station are you spending that much money on? I have to know if it's on your list, and if it is, I'm intrigued.
That's fair.
What are you buying? The gas pump?
No.
Okay, I will go with 1-1. I'm going to go with all reliable. Water. Have to have it. Could you imagine you're going to South Carolina. You hit that Virginia air. It's hot. It's humid. You're a little parched. You've now been in the car for 8 straight hours. And I know we're both going to have snacks the rest of this list. What are you going to do? Eat potato chips with no water? No.
Water's good.
No.
Water's good, but the only thing about
cheese
water...
grate my nipples to do that.
The only thing about water on a road trip is it's going to make you have to pee. Well, I shouldn't say that.
I can be okay with that.
My next one on here is just going right against what I said.
Yeah, probably soda.
Red Bull.
Ooh.
You need caffeine.
Some sort of caffeinated drink.
You need an energy drink. I can't drive for more than 3 hours without an energy drink of some sort. The lines just start to look the same. It's just monotonous. So I'm going Red Bull as my first pick.
See, I have another one that kind of falls into that, but I think I can get value on that later in the draft.
Okay. I'm gonna
go with beef jerky.
Okay.
Because you got to have protein in your diet. What are
That's
you going to do? Just eat garbage all day long? You got to have something with some substance in it. But I'm also not going to crack open a steak dinner while I'm driving.
Right, and normally you're not going to eat till you get there, so you need something to hold you over.
You need something to hold you over. I'd go beef jerky, a little more substantive.
Okay, I'm also going on the I guess, department of snacks here, but it's going to be different than beef jerky. Airhead Extremes.
Oh, the little...
Those things are great.
Oh, the strips, right?
Either the strips or the bites. Airhead Extremes.
Airhead bites, yeah.
Either way. I think the bites are a little bit better for taking on the road, because as you're going 80 miles an hour, trying to make sure that you're getting that strip ripped apart and then into your mouth, that's kind of tough.
Pause.
Okay.
I'll go off of that. Number 2.
This is your third round
Or
pick.
my third, sorry. Number 3, Twizzlers.
You're a Twizzler guy?
So hold up. Am I the
Twizzlers.
only, or is my family the only family that will not eat Twizzlers year round, but always pack them for a road trip? I've never seen a bag of Twizzlers in my house in my life, except for going on a road trip or vacation. Always Twizzlers in the car, and even weirder than that. Now I'm not on this one. I'll get the standard. Was it cherry or whatever? The normal flavor.
Sure.
My family gets chocolate Twizzlers. That's weird.
That's strange.
They're not bad, though.
I can't stand Twizzlers.
They're not bad.
I don't like
them. I
them.
love Twizzlers.
I hate Twizzlers.
But maybe it's because I only have them once a year. Maybe
As you go to the beach, yeah. Okay, I like that one. 4, I'm going to go with another drink. This one not being...
This is your third round pick, by the way.
Yeah, I guess so, huh? Arnold Palmer. I love it.
Okay.
I love it.
Not bad.
It's a nice...
Not bad.
It does give you a little bit of caffeine with the tea, but it's light. It's not something that's going to make you feel like you just drank an entire tub of sugar, like if you were to drink a Coke or a Mountain Dew or something like that.
Sure.
So I'm gonna go Arnold Palmer. I love those things.
Okay. I'm gonna go Zins. Gotta have a good Zinnerchino.
How did I forget about Zins?
Dude, you gotta have a good Zinnerchino.
How did I forget about Zins?
And I think as of right now, I'm looking at my draft board. I have a liquid. I got some water, the most universal of all the liquids. I have beef jerky for some protein. I got Twizzlers for some sugar, and I got Zins. I have a very well-rounded baseball team here.
Yeah, it's looking good, man. Shit, how did I forget about Zins? I have a Zin in right now.
I don't know how you forgot about Zins.
So is that the one that you said you're going to build value with later?
Yeah.
That's a great pick.
Because I was going to take that second in fear that you would have it, and I said, you know what? I'm going to take a risk. He doesn't have it. You don't have it.
I did not have it. Zins, that's a great pick.
Thank you.
Great pick. 4, I'm going to go with Old Reliable. You can find it pretty much at any gas station you stop at these days. A sub. A sub
Ooh.
of some sort. You got nervous. What did you think I was going to pick?
You're going to see, and you're going to think of it, and you'll be like, shit. Good.
Okay, sub is my 4th pick.
Okay. For my 5th and final pick, to just get the most perfect and well-rounded cast of foods, beverages, and substances. Sunflower seeds. They're perfect.
It's a great one.
They keep you busy, right?
Now,
Maybe
the only
it's
thing
'cause
is you need an empty bottle. Spit them in.
Sure. An empty bottle, empty cup. If you're drinking enough water, you'll be fine. Or I always start my road trip with a coffee. I know I didn't have it on here, but every human starts a road trip with a coffee of some sort. Mm-hmm. Once that cup's empty, you're good to go. Good to go.
I like that one.
Yeah.
My 5th and final pick, I don't think it matters that much. I got my ass kicked in this draft. Flaming Hot Cheetos. I love them.
Not bad. Not bad.
So the only problem with them, kind of messy. You get the Cheeto dust everywhere, and it's spicy, so it's going to make you, in turn, drink more water, which is, in turn, going to make you have to stop more to go to the bathroom. But,
there's a problem with sunflower seeds as well. I'll admit that.
But that's it.
So
That's the draft.
I got water, beef jerky, Twizzlers, Zins, sunflower seeds. I feel good about it.
Yeah, and I got Red Bull Extremes, Arnold Palmer, a sub, and Flaming Hot Cheetos. You won this draft.
I don't think it's a bad one now.
I got you last
it's a bad
week.
one.
I
You
got
did.
you
You
last
got me
week.
so bad on the restaurants, man.
The fast food?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you on the fast food.
Yeah.
You got me here for sure. But that's a good one.
Yeah,
I like
either
that.
way. Hell of a draft, son. Hell of a draft.
That was last call.
That was last call. That was the end of the show. Guys, make sure, I guess not next week, but make sure you come back the following week for yet another iteration of The Issue. We appreciate you listening, however you do listen, whether that be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc., etc. Make sure you go check out our social media. We'll be posting a ton on TikTok while I'm gone, so you're not going to want to miss all that content they have been popping off. And if you're just now listening, go back to the single video of me ripping the Steelers for Mike Tomlin and drop a comment. I want to see what the general Pittsburgh sports population thinks. I know a ton of people are going to rip me. That's fine if you want to rip me, but go drop an opinion there. Go ahead and end it.
That was the issue.
Perfect.